While most people were struggling to pay for groceries in 2021 and 2022, Elon Musk added over $120 billion to his fortune in a single year.
To do good things, yeah. I mean, saving the world is not
But you're trying to do good things and you're a billionaire. I mean,
yeah.
that seems a little bit like either superhero or supervillain.
Jeff Bezos, despite stepping down as CEO of Amazon, walked away from that period worth billions more than when it began.
This is a phrase that we use at Amazon all the time. I've been using it in my first annual shareholder letter from 20 years ago. And we state
Warren Buffett's portfolio quietly climbed while millions of working-class families watched their savings shrink in real value.
Add in the way of businesses over time, and we can add them through marketable securities. I mean, we own 5.5% or a little over % of Apple. It's probably the best business I know in the world.
This was not a coincidence. It was the financial system behaving exactly the way it was built to behave. Inflation does not hurt everyone equally. For those who understand how the game is structured, rising prices silently build empires, while everyone else scrambles just to stay afloat. The asset advantage that changes everything. Here is the uncomfortable truth that most financial news never explains clearly. Wealth and income are not the same thing. A person who earns a salary depends entirely on that income to survive. When inflation rises, that salary loses purchasing power unless it is raised, and most of the time, wages do not keep pace with rising prices. The person working a fixed income job feels inflation immediately, at the gas station, at the grocery store, and on every monthly utility bill. But someone like Elon Musk does not primarily live on a salary. The bulk of his wealth sits in assets, Tesla shares, SpaceX equity, and other holdings whose value tends to move with, and often ahead of, inflation. When the broader economy inflates, asset prices tend to inflate alongside it or even exceed it. Real estate values surge, stock portfolios expand. The wealthy do not just keep up with inflation, in many cases, they outrun it significantly. This is the core of the wealth gap that inflation quietly widens. Poor households own very little. Their wealth, if any, sits in savings accounts or cash. Inflation directly erodes the value of both. A person with $10,000 in a savings account, earning 1% interest loses real purchasing power every single year. That inflation runs above that rate. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos holds tens of billions in Amazon stock. When inflation lifts the broader market, a significant portion of his net worth rises with it. He does not need to do anything. The economic environment does the heavy lifting for him. Mark Zuckerberg.
These are glasses with the classic style that you'd expect from Ray-Ban, but they are the first AI glasses.
Bernard Arnault.
Thinking of the worst, but on the other hand, we are optimistic.
And Larry Ellison operate under the same principle.
And it's had all the disadvantages necessary for success.
Their fortunes are not stored in cash. They are stored in appreciating assets, companies, real estate portfolios, and equity stakes that grow in nominal value even as the purchasing power of paper money falls. This is precisely why, during the same period that US inflation hit a 4-decade high in 2022, the combined wealth of the world's 10 richest people still measured in the trillions. The system that slowly punishes the poor continues to reward the asset holding class year after year. Why the poor pay more and own less? Inflation does not fall evenly across different income groups. Research has consistently shown that lower income households experience a sharper and far more painful version of inflation than wealthier ones. The reason comes down to spending patterns and how product markets actually work. Wealthy consumers tend to spend on a wide range of goods and services, luxury travel, premium products, innovative technology, and high-end food. Because companies compete fiercely to attract high-income buyers, they constantly introduce new products and improve existing ones. More competition in these markets means prices in premium categories often rise more slowly, or the value per dollar actually increases over time. The rich essentially get more for their money because businesses want their business so badly. Lower income households, however, spend most of their budgets on necessities, food, rent, transportation, and energy. These are categories where prices are sticky and companies have far less incentive to innovate or compete on price. Gasoline prices, housing costs, and grocery bills hit households with small financial margins the hardest. When a person earning $30,000 a year spends 60% of their income on essentials, a 10% spike in those costs devastates their budget. When a billionaire faces the same spike, it barely registers against their broader financial picture. This gap is made worse by what economists call inflation inequality. Households at the bottom of the income scale do not just experience the same inflation as wealthy households, they often face a higher effective inflation rate because the goods they buy most frequently tend to inflate faster than luxury goods. The lived experience of rising prices is dramatically different depending on where a person stands economically. For the poor, inflation feels like an invisible tax that arrives every month in every store, on every bill, and there is no asset appreciation anywhere on the balance sheet to offset the damage. The wealth effect and the debt deflation secret. Beyond asset ownership, there is another powerful mechanism at work that almost nobody talks about openly, and it may be the single most important advantage the wealthy hold during any inflationary period. When asset prices rise, wealthy individuals feel financially stronger. This feeling is not just psychological, it has very real financial consequences. Banks and lenders allow rich individuals to borrow against the value of their holdings without selling a single share. Elon Musk has used pledged Tesla shares as collateral.
Simple things. I mean, yeah.
So let's talk about the Tesla. I have a Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, and I love it. I love it.
To access hundreds of millions of dollars in personal loans from major financial institutions. He accesses enormous liquidity without ever triggering a taxable event. This practice lets the ultra-wealthy enjoy the purchasing power of their inflated fortunes while continuing to hold the assets that keep growing in value. Now consider what inflation quietly does to debt. Inflation erodes the real value of money owed. If someone borrows $1 million today and inflation runs at 8% per year, the real value of that debt shrinks with every passing month. The borrower eventually repays with dollars that are worth less than the ones they originally borrowed. This is a silent but enormous transfer of wealth. For middle-class homeowners with fixed-rate mortgages, this mechanism offers modest relief. Their loan burden lightens in real terms over time. But for the ultra-wealthy who borrow at enormous scale against appreciating assets, the benefit is exponentially larger. They borrow huge sums, watch their collateral appreciate, and repay using deflated dollars. Meanwhile, for poor households carrying high-interest consumer debt, credit cards, payday loans, short-term borrowing, inflation brings no such relief. Their debt costs are variable and often rise alongside inflation. The debt that was supposed to help them survive becomes a deeper and harder trap to escape. The wealthy use debt as a precision wealth building instrument. The poor use debt as a lifeline. Inflation makes the first group's strategy more profitable and the second group's situation more desperate with every passing quarter. The broader economic system amplifies this divide even further. When inflation rises, central banks raise interest rates to cool the economy. Higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive for ordinary consumers and small business owners. But the ultra-wealthy, with access to institutional capital and complex financial instruments, navigate these shifts far more effectively. They hedge their positions. They rebalance portfolios into inflation-resistant assets. They move capital in ways that benefit from tighter monetary conditions. The average working person has no such toolkit available to them. Elon Musk once publicly called inflation the most regressive tax of all.
Now, another thing that you are talking about is you sincerely think that we should go to Mars, like that men and women should go to Mars.
Yeah.
He was right, though he and people like him possess the resources to benefit from it in ways that ordinary people simply cannot replicate. Assets appreciate, cash depreciates. Debt can be weaponized as a wealth tool or used as a poverty trap, entirely depending on who holds it and how. And wages almost always lag behind prices. No matter how hard the average worker pushes, the real reason inflation makes the rich richer is not simply that they have more money. It is that they hold more of the right kind of money, the kind stored in assets that grow precisely when the value of everything else falls. The gap between those who own assets and those who survive on wages is not closed by hard work alone. It widens with every inflation cycle, one price increase at a time, while the world's wealthiest watch their portfolios expand without lifting a finger.